Oh, thank you very much, Larry. Indeed, it's a good morning right here. Also, we are at the Kibra Primary School. This is the polling station where the NASA candidate will be voting a little bit later on. We understand he'll be here at around 10 a.m. to vote. But we have experienced quite a number of queues here when we came here in the morning. As early as 4 a.m., there was a lot of people already lining up, waiting for this process to begin. And indeed, the process has begun. We are in stream 9. In this polling station, we have exactly 12 streams where we have 700 voters who will be voting here this morning and throughout the day. We have experienced firsthand the voting began, and the first thing that we noticed that it took a little longer to identify the voters through the KIEMS system. But indeed, the first voter here who is already voting took around 3-4 minutes to be identified using the system. Outside, there's a long queue, but I just want to give you a brief breakdown of this polling station. Now, this is almost the fourth time that the NASA leader will be voting in Kibera. Remember, this is traditionally the place he's voted, owing to the fact that he was a member of parliament for a very long time in this constituency that now has been divided into two. That is Kibra and, of course, Langata constituency. Langata is the member of parliament for Langata constituency is Joash Odhiambo, while for Kibra is Ken Okoth. So those are the main candidates who will be focusing on here. But remember, there are also other candidates around. There's a women representative. We have 10 wards in Langata constituency. Both we will try, all of them will try and transverse throughout the day. But the most important thing here is that the voting began a little late, about 7 minutes, and already the PO indicated that at the end of the day, they'll be increasing their time with about 7 minutes because stream number 9 began a little late. But going around other areas in the morning, we had the opportunity to go to Olympic Primary School, and Larry can tell you there was a lot of people who already lined up by 4 a.m. This election indeed will be defining. If you look at the kind of turnout, Larry, as early as 4 a.m., we had long queues and driving past Mombasa Road, through Nyayo Stadium, Bagathi Road, you could see the same thing, very eager voters waking up early to ensure that they cast their vote. And the hope is that at the end of the day, all of them, and as has been indicated by the IEBC, they'll be able to get an opportunity to vote regardless of the time. So we have 12 streams here, and each has 700 voters. If you look at the total, it's just over 8,400 voters who will be voting at the Kibra Primary School. And around 10 will also be coming to you because we expect the NASA candidate to be voting here a little bit later on. So those are some of the things we have noticed, but it's an elaborate process. There were concerns earlier when there was a lot of information going around on how to vote, and I will tell you this, inside the booth is clearly marked on how you should vote. It's also clearly marked on the signs you should be putting on your vote, and it also tells you how a spoilt vote looks like. So it's it's an information that precedes the voter, in that once they get to the polling booth, they'll be able to know exactly how to vote. And of course, we also saw the process of opening the ballot papers earlier, and it's a process that is very transparent. We had the PO making a loud announcement. Even the time he was welcoming voters into the stream, he makes a loud announcement. So the only challenge so far we realized here is the amount of time it takes to vote. To identify yourself using the integrated management system. It takes a little longer, but probably within the day they shall have grasped it and known how to make it work a little faster. Because if you look at the number of people lining up, Larry, it takes a lot. If it's going to take a long time to identify each of those voters, it's indeed going to they're indeed going to spend a lot of time just in the identification process before they even issue the ballot papers. The other thing that we realized is that when the ballot papers were being issued, Larry, they make a very loud announcement also telling you on the serial numbers that that have been issued. So it's a very, very transparent process, and we have agents sitting on one side, we have the polling clerks sitting on one side, and of course they have allowed media inside here to witness the whole process. So it's a transparent process that tells the voter. They even, the clerks are kind enough to explain for you. We have one of the agents who is just moving around and trying to help the voters understand what they should do. And of course, the ballot boxes are clearly marked, and they will be directing you, telling you exactly if you are about to place your vote in the wrong box, because then that will be considered as vote if you don't insert it in the right ballot box. So they are also in hand to explain to you exactly what you need to do. So very interesting times here as voters patiently wait outside. You can see the lines of the long queues outside, the voters waiting eagerly to cast their ballot. So earlier, as I said, we went to Olympic Primary School. The same phenomena. A lot of people turning out to vote. As early as 4 a.m., we had a lot of people walking on the roads, others on borders, others coming with their cars. But the bigger picture is the kind of turnout that we have experienced as early as this morning. And I think it's also heeding to the call that you need to vote and go back home. So probably there are people who woke up at 4 a.m., Larry. I'd like to tell you that some of these people will be going home probably after 10 a.m. or even much later. And those people who are still sleeping, they still have a long day to vote, because there are quite a number of voters out to exercise their civil responsibility of casting their vote to choose their next leaders. And as I mentioned, this is polling station that there'll be a lot of focus in. Already we can see a number of international media included coming to where we are, room number 9, where Raila Odinga will be voting a little bit later on. And the kind of interest that is in this room specifically just because the national leader will be voting a little bit later on. So we've quite seen a number of people. And as the day breaks, we also expect that there'll be a lot of people also just coming up, waking up to come and exercise their civil responsibility. And of course, we know that as soon as they vote, they have been told that they have to keep a 40 meters radius away from the polling station to avoid anything. But again, later in the evening, probably they'll be allowed to come to witness the counting exercise. Remember, the counting is not so complicated. Only 700 voters are expected to cast their votes across the 6 positions at the end of the day. So very interesting. We are here until the day breaks. We also expect that Josh Olum will be voting here. Josh Olum is a member of parliament for Langata, and later on in Kibra, another member of parliament around here, that is Ken Okoth, will also be voting somewhere in Kibra right here, because this is his polling station. And as I mentioned, Josh Olum rather will not be voting here, but somewhere in Langata, because he's a member of Langata constituency. Remember, this constituency was founded in 1960. It's been participating in the subsequent elections, and we know Raila Odinga, the NASA leader, for a long time was a member of parliament here. So looking at after the promulgation of the new constitution and division of this constituency, it was divided into 2. That's why we have 2 members of parliament representing the same constituency that was represented for quite a long time by Raila Odinga. And as I mentioned earlier, Larry, we have about 10 wards here, not about, but exactly we have 10 wards here, divided into 6 and no, actually it's 5 and 5 for Kibra and for Langata constituency.